Well, hi again, everybody. Craig Dyer here from Christianity Explored Ministries, and just a lovely opportunity to have another conversation with friends today. We're going to be thinking particularly about our partner ministry, BibleMesh, and I'll come to Jacob Shatzer in just a moment. But it's a delight to have my colleague Louanne Enns on the call today. Louanne, great to see you down there in sunny London. How are you doing? And tell us a little bit about your role within Christianity Explored Ministries.
Great, thanks, Craig. Yeah, it's really great to join you today. It's a nice sunny day. So yeah, really enjoying that here in North London. Obviously, from my accent, you can tell I wasn't born here, but my family are back home in Vancouver, Canada, and they're doing well as well.
Brilliant.
So yeah, I've been at Christianity Explored Ministries for over 10 years now, and my role is the operations manager, and that covers a lot of different things. But one of the things that I really enjoy is partnering with other ministry organizations to help churches and Christians share the gospel more effectively. And so that's how I got connected with BibleMesh. It was initially through Jacob's colleague Michael, who's pastoring up in Northern Ireland, also uses Christianity Explored's resources in his church. So that's how we got connected a number of years ago. But it's been a really fruitful partnership, and it's really good to be talking about it today.
It certainly is, and it's part of the joy, as we say, of this work, is just being able to share with other gospel-hearted ministries. Great to have you with us, Jacob. You're not in the UK. Tell us where you are and what the situation is.
That's right. I'm in West Tennessee in the United States. So I'm an associate professor of theological studies at Union University in Jackson, Tennessee. So I am alone here in my office at the university.
That accounts for the magnificent bookcases behind you.
It does. It does. Students usually come in here and ask if I've read all of them, and depending on my mood, there are a range of answers you can give.
Exactly. Well, I'm looking for a screensaver that looks a bit like that I could just put it behind me there.
There you go.
Jacob, we're obviously thrilled to be talking today about BibleMesh, and we're going to talk a little bit about our partnership with you. But tell us, first of all, how you became involved in BibleMesh and what your role is at present.
Yeah, absolutely. So BibleMesh has been developed by a group of people that are really interested in leveraging the opportunity that the internet provides for helping people do ministry. So an earlier project that we did was called the Kairos Journal, which was a resource for pastors to help them learn about scripture and theology and apply those things into really cutting edge cultural issues. So I first began working with this group in 2007, actually, primarily focusing on that website. As we did that project, though, we realized that there was this great need for more biblical literacy in the United States and around the world. And so we began to think about how we might, again, leverage what the internet provides to teach about the Bible. So we developed a course about the Bible as one story that was aimed at people who didn't know anything about the Bible. And that course we initially called BibleMesh. That was the name of the course. And then we branched out from there and began to develop biblical languages resources so that people could learn Greek and Hebrew to immerse themselves in Scripture. And along the way, we began to find partners, ministries that were interested in what we were doing, and also that had great content themselves that they wanted to be able to provide to a broader international audience. And so BibleMesh kind of morphed from being that one course to being a partner like we are now, working with like-minded and gospel-hearted ministries around the world to provide what we refer to as trusted theological education. There are a lot of things about God out there that you can find online. Not all of them are from trusted sources, and so we seek to partner with good gospel-focused partners to provide discipleship resources and education resources for churches, ministries, individuals, and other institutions.
That sounds absolutely Fantastic. Guarding the gospel and getting the gospel out as clearly and as helpfully as you can. That's marvelous. Say a word maybe, Jacob, for us, just to give us in terms of your philosophy about the value of online courses building up the church, as opposed to people just studying on their own or maybe just in a small group.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we try to do is provide access to excellent resources for people to use in a variety of different contexts. From the very beginning, we've tried to articulate what we do in a way where we don't want to replace people's real relationships with people that might be discipling them or teaching them or preaching to them. But rather we see our role as coming alongside real people in real places and providing them access to resources that they can then use to minister to those that God has put them there with.
Absolutely marvelous. Well, Louanne, coming back to you, can you tell us a little bit, describe for us the journey between Christianity Explored and BibleMesh, how we got involved with each other and where we are with that now?
Yeah, I mean, we initially started by putting up our Discipleship Explored materials with BibleMesh, and that was just our learning process for us as a ministry, wrapping our heads around what it might be like to have our resources made available online. So that was a really good experience, and then from there on, we started talking about what it would look like to have the Christianity Explored materials made available through BibleMesh for people who might not otherwise have access to them. And so we were just really grateful for those conversations to be able to make that resource available for free so that people can access those materials from wherever they are in the world and go through them at their own pace. And it's been really great to see that people from all over the world have been able to do that. And I think, I haven't checked recently, but certainly in the last number of weeks since the lockdown around COVID-19, there's certainly been more people taking advantage of that, which is really great because, as Jacob was saying, there's lots of things that we could be spending our time on right now, watching, videos of cats and catching up on box sets of DVDs and things. But to have really good quality resources available as well is really important. So.
Oh, that's exactly right. So, Louanne, maybe you would tell us a little bit about the difference between the course we might be familiar with in terms of Christianity Explored and what is offered on the BibleMesh platform.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. So what we've done as a team at the CEM office is just go through the Christianity Explored course material that we would use in churches and just realize that it's a lot of content to look at on a computer screen, especially if you're using your mobile phone or laptop. So we've broken the videos down into just smaller segments and have provided questions related to the teaching in the particular 3 or 5 minute clip. So what it does is it just allows your friend or yourself while you're on the bus watching on your phone to watch a short clip of Christianity Explored and then think about a few questions coming directly out of that particular teaching. So it's just adapted for the technology to make it just a little bit more accessible and so broken down into just smaller pieces. And so people who are familiar with the Christianity Explored course from their church will still recognize the material, but it's just put together in a slightly different way.
That's really helpful. So it complements the main church course in a very useful way and makes it fresh.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. And Jacob, for church leaders watching this today, how do they connect directly with BibleMesh?
Yeah, so all of our materials available at www.biblemesh.com. And so there are different things you can look at there, everything from exploring different courses that are available to some of the information about the partners that we work with. We also have a BibleMesh Institute that helps guide people through courses kind of put into tracks and things like that. So a lot of different things can be found there at that website.
Marvelous. So Jacob, as we think about this partnership between CEM and BibleMesh, How would a church leader watching this today benefit from what BibleMesh has to offer in terms of Christianity Explored?
Yeah, well, one of the great things that we have with the Christianity Explored material is we have all of this material that is available to people that the churches are ministering to, whether that's their members or people that they're pursuing and sharing the gospel with during this time. And what's nice about it is it provides an entry point that people can hit at a lot of different levels. It might be somebody has a little bit of interest in Christianity, but they don't want people to know that yet, or maybe they'd be nervous about showing up to a meeting or even getting on a large Zoom call. They could be given access to this course, and they could begin to pick through and begin to learn. And we know that the Spirit works through the power of the Word, and so that kind of way of engaging the content might be perfect for that sort of person. And also what it does, because it's an online course, I think as everybody's recognizing now that we're all doing more Zoom meetings, is it can be hard to pay attention to one person talking for a long period of time in an online environment. And we knew that when we designed these online courses. And so as we worked with Louanne in putting this material online, the material is put into smaller bite-sized chunks, because you might have someone in your church that has the freedom and the time and the focus to spend 2 hours one afternoon on it. Great, they can. But you also probably have people that they might be able to focus on it for 15 minutes. And things are broken up into smaller pieces. So even for that person that just has that limited attention or limited focus or limited amount of time, they can still begin to work through it and piece together the things that they need to know. So it provides a lot of content for people to engage in ways that they're ready to engage it.
That's a really helpful distinctive there. Thank you for that, Jacob. Sometimes there is a little bit of confusion between what you're offering with Christianity Explored and BibleMesh and what churches around the world are now doing in terms of a Zoom version of Christianity Explored, which is just the standard course. What would be the main distinctives there as we think about that?
Yeah, so I think that the main distinctives would be that when the person uses the course, they're able to go through the course at their own pace, on their own time. Yeah. They're able to rewatch the material that they perhaps didn't understand or are more interested in. So it's almost like if you imagine giving a study resource to someone in your church that they're going to read on their own. They can reread it. They can read it when they want to. But with the course, it's much more than just what they're reading. It includes teaching videos, interactive elements like self-quizzes and things like that, so you can make sure that you're getting the content that you need to get. And so it doesn't replace the interaction with people maybe in an online environment or face-to-face down the road. But it does allow them to kind of get that information in a more flexible way, especially during a time like now.
Marvelous. Well, I guess like many ministries, you've known something of the impact of COVID-19 on BibleMesh. Maybe just to close, you would say a word about what that has been. And I'm thinking particularly for church leaders watching this today, how best can they tap into the wider resources that BibleMesh makes available to them?
Yeah. So COVID-19 has certainly been an interesting time for us, as a lot of what we do hasn't changed, because the type of work that we're doing and things that we're trying to provide are through the online offerings. And so what we've seen primarily is just a growing interest and a growing opportunity to work with a more diverse group of partners. But we've tried to, again, focus on being called to trusted theological education and trying to keep our eye on the ball of not just seeking connections for connection's sake, but to remember that we want to work with like-minded ministries that are focused on the gospel. And so we've just been excited to try to continue to pursue more opportunities on both ends, both developing content and providing that content. As far as how church leaders can get engaged with BibleMesh, I would just encourage you to not think of BibleMesh as an online ministry that wants to take your people away from you and just have them be online or something like that. Yeah. But rather, we see ourselves as providing that trusted theological education, content that people are able to engage in an understandable way, in their own pace, at their own time, so that then when they connect with the people in their lives, whether that's through a Zoom call or a church meeting, they're able to work from a common foundation. They've gone through the material together. They've gotten that content. And so the pastor, for instance, doesn't have to just think, okay, well, how can I make sure to get all of the information across? Instead, the pastor is able to focus in on questions of application, or maybe instead of spending 30 minutes giving a broad overview, you can spend that 30 minutes focusing on the 2 or 3 things that people struggled to understand. So we really want to be a resource for pastors to use to come alongside their people and guide them. And we have courses, as I mentioned earlier, spanning from everything from intense biblical languages training to the Bible's overall story to courses like Christianity Explored. We also partner with groups like Zondervan Academic and have a lot of course resources built out of their material and textbooks. And so it's a pretty full range of topics that Christians might be engaged in, that church leaders might want to guide people through, or they might have that particularly industrious and gifted church member who just wants to learn more, and they can just point them to some things that they can study on their own.
Jacob, that sounds like an Aladdin's cave of good things for building up the Lord's people. Thank you so much for your time with us today. Thank you, Louanne. An absolute pleasure to talk to you both. And thank you for watching our little conversation. Do keep an eye on ceministries.org for more of these little chats. A great pleasure to talk to you today as we continue together to love and live and tell the good news of the Lord Jesus.